Will Smith, What is he? Part 9. Paid child support. Smith's parents were separated for nearly 20 years before his mother officially filed for divorce in 1997. It was a surprise to Smith's father when she finally signed the divorce papers, as with the nearly $140,000 he owed in back child support. It was a sum Daddy-O could not afford. "I was stuck," admitted Smith. "Daddy-O didn't have $140,000, and Mom was unwilling to make any concession whatsoever, and there was no version of me letting my father go to jail." That exhibits compassion on his part and suggestion of emotional empathy. So in what he calls an underhanded Ponzi-style backdoor deal, Smith transferred the money into his father's account and paid his debt, making him the first person in the history of Pennsylvania to pay his own child support. However, his mother eventually found out and was pissed, writing a cheque for Smith for $140,000. That certainly exhibits the emotional empathy of his mother, and also his way to try and resolve this again shows that he's trying to please everybody, paying off his father's debt and ensuring that his mother got the money. Of course, he could afford to do it, but some people wouldn't necessarily have done so. Argument with Michael Bay. In his early career, Will Smith describes himself as fairly slim, lanky, and uncomfortable with his body until he bulked up for his role as Detective Mike Lowry in the 1995 film Bad Boys. Bad boys, bad boys. What you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you? But when director Michael Bay demanded his character chase a car on foot, shirtless, Smith adamantly refused. "I wasn't yet secure with my new body. The thought of standing around all day with no shirt on intimidated me," Smith recalled. Pity play, or somebody who's not an egocentric individual about his physical looks. After multiple arguments, the two eventually landed on a compromise. Smith would wear an unbuttoned shirt instead, a decision he says made him into a movie star. "Up until this point in my life, I had used comedy to attract women, and now I was being objectified. It was wonderful," he wrote. "All I could think was, okay, Michael Bay, you were right, I was wrong. Thank you." Such a response does not accord ordinarily with many narcissists who would be flaunting their bodies, demonstrating how buffed and ripped they were, and wanting to show off in such a manner. Of course, there might be some narcissists that would behave in a more passive-aggressive way, utilising their lack of physique as a means of triangulation. Jaden wanted to be separated from his parents. Smith reflects on the moment that his son Jaden Smith, who's now known as just Jaden, asked to be legally separated from his parents following the failure of their collaborative movie After Earth. Will and Jaden co-starred in the 2013 post-apocalyptic action movie which marked one of Jaden's first major acting gigs when he was just 15 years old. Jaden's mother, Jada Pinkett Smith, also co-produced the film. However, the movie, which was directed by M. Night Shyamalan, was ultimately deemed unsuccessful, reportedly having only made $60 million in the United States off a $130 million budget, and scoring a low rating of 11% on Rotten Tomatoes. Much like the film itself, Jaden's role was met with scathing reviews and negative criticism. In an interview with Esquire in 2015, Will called the movie the most painful failure in his career. Fans and the press were absolutely vicious. They said and printed things about Jaden that I refused to repeat. He continues, "Jaden had faithfully done everything that I'd instructed him to do, and I had coached him into the worst public mauling he'd ever experienced." And Will says that the harsh criticism had such a severe impact on Jaden that he ended up asking to be legally separated from his parents. It shows that Smith is at least protective of his son, but the response of his son, rather questionable. But this is an analysis of his son. At 15 years old, when Jaden asked about being an emancipated minor, my heart shattered, Smith explained. He ultimately decided against it, but it sucks to feel like you've hurt your kids. Cognitive empathy, or potentially emotional empathy. An emancipated minor is someone who's legally deemed a child yet is free from control by their parents or guardians. For example, they're allowed freedom in making their own living arrangements or overseeing their income. Emancipation in Jaden's case would have given him the freedom to make future work-related choices away from Will Smith, as well as the ability to negotiate his own salary. Gay allegations. In the past, there have been many rumours regarding Will Smith's secret sexuality. The late actress Alexis Arquette accused Will Smith of being gay. Before she passed away in 2016, she claimed that Will Smith's ex-wife, Cherie Giampino, divorced him because she caught Will in bed with another man. As per Alexis's testimony, Cherie was paid off in order to hide her ex-husband's truth. At the same time, Cherie never talked about this claim or accused Will Smith of being gay. Furthermore, Alexis also claimed that both Will Smith and his present wife Jada are gay. After Jada's cheating scandal with rapper August Alsina, people started to wonder whether he was also gay. The rumours and allegations about Will Smith's sexuality don't end there. Recently, in 2020, YouTuber Trisha Paytas accused Will Smith of sexually manipulating her male dancers. However, she took back this comment after she realised it was completely false, and there was no concrete evidence of it. Just a few months later, the Aladdin star was accused of dating his male co-star Dwayne Campbell. However, Campbell's wife was wise enough to publicly and strongly denounce this accusation. Their long-time friendship, however, has had tongues wagging, suggesting they're involved in a bromance. Will and Dwayne have taken many vacations together that include trips to Sin City, Las Vegas, Miami, and, supposedly, a private cruise in Trinidad, while Tisha and Jada sat at home. Two men going on a vacation together doesn't mean they're gay and could be friends. Of course, there could be something going on, but no concrete evidence has appeared. An eyewitness claims that the pair dined at a Trinidad eatery on February the 24th, and it was clear Will and Dwayne both arrived and left together. Another source swears that Jada hates that Will is taking him on exotic vacations while she's sitting home alone. Well, of course, because it's about somebody else, and that'll threaten her sense of control. She allegedly can't stand his relationship with Dwayne and feels that he flaunts it in her face. The fact that he has a friendship doesn't mean that he's flaunting it in her face, but of course her narcissism will perceive it that way in order to cause her to react, because the intimate partner primary source's attention is elsewhere and not upon her. Will Smith's questionable sexual preferences have been gossiped about for years. The whispers actually began after he appeared in his first major motion picture back in 1993, when he played a gay con artist in the film 6 Degrees of Separation. His character was supposed to engage in a full homosexual love scene in the film, but after he landed the part, he was not on board with the idea. His character was also supposed to lock lips with a Caucasian man, but at the time the 43-year-old balked, so mirrors and trick camera angles made it appear as if his character kissed the male actor. Rumours about him being gay or bisexual have persisted, although I haven't seen any concrete evidence, just repeated rumours about the same. Of course, sexual fluidity is a hallmark of the narcissist. It doesn't mean somebody that is sexually fluid is a narcissist. One has to, of course, look at other factors, but it is an indicator. However, I don't see sufficiently credible evidence beyond rumour and gossip that this is the case. Willow with older man. In 2014, critics of the Smiths went into overdrive when Will's 13-year-old daughter Willow was pictured in bed with a 20-year-old actor Moises Arias. In response, the Smith camp told TMZ that they believed Willow was old enough to make her own decisions and that the two were just friends. Of course, many people would say they would not let their 13-year-old daughter be in a situation like the one described. Is this poor judgment on the part of Will Smith, a lack of emotional empathy, a laissez-faire attitude towards parenting? Possibly, or it might just be the case that they didn't know what was going on, or it was something that his wife was happier with, and Will Smith, the people pleaser, has to go along with it and toe the party line with regard to the comment that came from the Smith camp, i.e. from his wife, that Willow was old enough to make her own decisions. You can see parallels, of course, and many of you have picked up on this in the comments, about the fact that there are parallels between the relationship of Jada Pinkett Smith and Will Smith and Harry's wife and Harry, and that Harry often has to toe the party line, and the things that he says and does are influenced heavily by his wife. Stopping Jada swearing. According to USA Today, Will used a very curious tactic in getting his wife to stop cursing at him. Insult, profanity, assertion of control. He compared her vile vocabulary to his aggressive and physically violent father. Is this potentially triangulation? Well, it is triangulation because of the comparison. But if it was the driver to assert control and draw fuel, maybe not. And also how he didn't want to live in a household like the one he grew up in. Although this worked, there are those that claim that the comparison was unfair and manipulative on his part. Self-serving Oscar boycott. It was claimed that Will Smith was just mad that he didn't get nominated for his role in Concussion, and if he had been nominated, he wouldn't be boycotting. Other actors of colour like Jamie Foxx and Chris Rock, hello, also took swipes at the Smiths, who seemingly made the boycott more about themselves than the fact that few people of colour were nominated that year. Again, note the fact that there's the observation about it being a swipe at the Smiths. And could it be once again that Will Smith is being dragged along in this manner by his narcissist wife? There's lots more material, but much of it becomes repetitive in terms of demonstrating the points that need to be exhibited. We have seen a considerable amount of material that tells us about the difficult upbringing that Will Smith has had. His desire to turn that into a success, to use comedy and to being very successful as a means for dealing with the childhood that he came from. It's clear that he has narcissistic traits. Everybody has narcissistic traits. His appear to be strong. And there are instances where he has engaged in controversial behaviour. Of course, most recently, the assault on Chris Rock and the fact that he backhanded somebody else who invaded his personal space. He has, of course, been known in the past to make jokes about people, which might determine that there's an absence of emotional empathy for poking fun at them. We've gone through the material that comes from 2 extensive interviews, pulled information from his memoirs, I've reviewed videos and such like, and there's a lot more that one could go into. But as mentioned, in order for the purposes of succinctness and brevity, and to avoid repetition of the relevant points, this is the main material that I have advanced for you. You can see that there is a considerable potential for it to come down on one side or the other, as I've maintained throughout. In the next part, we make the determination as to what Will Smith is. Make sure you're there.